Yes, Mr. Chairman, but the CV I submitted, all of those things were listed on it, all of those companies. So I'm very surprised that it didn't appear on what leader has now. But for the purpose of this exercise, I seek leave of the chairman to amend it. Thank you.
Which companies did you say you've worked with? Your work experience?
Mr. Chairman, I worked with Glad Tidings International School as a teacher. I worked with Gerofix Rent a Sign Limited, an advertising company. I worked as the public relations officer to the Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council. I worked as the head of marketing, Kumasi Office, National Trust Holding Company Limited, NTHC. I also worked with Joburg Foundation, Ghana. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Joburg Foundation as what?
As a project manager, Mr. Chairman.
Where? Where?
Mr. Chairman, here in Accra.
Who owns that company, organization?
Mr. Chairman, the founder of the organization is Mr. Joseph Magnus Mate.
And you were an employee or you worked as a volunteer?
The question again, Mr. Chairman.
As a volunteer or you worked as an employee?
Mr. Chairman, I worked as a volunteer.
As a volunteer?
Yes.
So, Honorable Ranking Member, which of the companies are not on the CV? So that I'll grant him leave to amend.
Deal with this substantive.
Because I have here Joburg Foundation, Ghana. I have National Trust Holding Company, Information Service Department, Gerofix Rent, and a teacher at Glad Tidings International School. So which one do I grant the leave for him to amend? Very well. I would start taking the questions from subject matter committee members, starting from Honorable Ntim Fojo. You have the floor, Honorable Ntim Fojo. You have the floor, Honorable Ntim Fojo. If you are not ready, you can tell me you are not ready, then I'll offer the opportunity to another person.
Very well. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable nominee, congratulations. Great. Notable experts in defense and international security have noted that when military institutions are empowered to be in business, it becomes inimical in democratic pursuits in the long term. And they cite the case of Egypt as an example, for instance. With the recent statement made by the president, that goes to indicate that the military may be empowered to get into businesses of their own. How do you see this trend posing potential threats to the democracy we have in this country in the long term?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the armed forces involving themselves in businesses is something that, for me, has a constitutional backing. If Mr. Chairman refers to the provisions in the Constitution that establishes the Ghana Armed Forces, it is very clear that the Ghana Armed Forces can engage in activities that will contribute to national development and reduce poverty. And there are many countries that have practiced that and have been successful. So, Mr. Chairman, I am going to the ministry as a deputy minister to assist my minister to deliver on the vision of the president. And that is what I am going to do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So as a follow-up, how do you intend to support your minister to ensure that whilst empowering the military to engage in certain businesses, they do not cross the line into to the extent that may become a threat to the democracy of this country?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I am going to the ministry to assist the minister to deliver on the president's vision. And that's exactly what I'm going there to do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The president yesterday, in the message on the State of the Nation, indicated a bold announcement that national service personnel are going to be given military training. In your briefing, have you obtained how much that enterprise may cost the state and how sustainable that may be?
Mr. Chairman, no. I have not come across any costing with regards to this particular project. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And as a follow-up, well, once you haven't, in all fairness, you haven't obtained a briefing on that, I'll have to skip to my last question. Given your prior background, as you enumerated, having been a teacher at some point and dovetailing that into education, how do you see the recent status of the military training institution having attained the charter status and now having become full-fledged university of their own, the Defense University? How do you see that position, giving gravitas to enhance the status of the Defense University as a regional institution that can build capacity of both civilians and uniformed personnel in the SAM region?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I think that that's a very good development because for the Ghana Armed Forces to function effectively, there must be training, effective training, in order that the men, as we have, will be up to date with current trends of threats across the globe. And so I think that what you have made known in your question is a very, very positive development. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I wish you all the best. Godspeed.
Thank you. I'll give the floor to James Agalga, Honorable.
Mr. Broja Jemfi, congratulations. You and I have come a long way. And so I'm very excited about your nomination. That said, Broja, I want to ask you a question which is in the context of civil-military relations. A few years ago, Major Mahama was brutally murdered by a mob, and may the soul of Major Mahama rest in peace. Then fast forward to 2023 thereabout, another soldier was murdered at a shaman. And following the murder of the soldier, some elements drawn from the armed forces stormed a shaman and brutally assaulted anybody who came in sight. Many civilians were injured in the process. These unfortunate happenings have deepened mistrust between the military on the one hand and the civilian populace. Now, when you get to the Ministry of Defense, what would you do by way of support to the substantive minister to promote good civil-military relations? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I believe that the civil population have high respect for the Ghana Armed Forces. And I think that there exists that relationship with the civil population. However, the isolated, unfortunate incidents, as you have enumerated, are things that we must work at in order to reduce that to the barest minimum. I am going to assist my minister to encourage more civil military engagement. The ministry can engage with the NCCE to have education on the primary role and the respect that we must have for our security institutions. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to the ministry to assist my minister, who is my boss, to work at reducing those isolated incidents. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Nominee. My second question, let me give you the background. In 2015, an ambitious project was launched by government which was aimed at expanding our armed forces. Now, as part of the program for expansion, our armed forces were supposed to, in terms of numbers, be increased from whatever number it was at the time to at least 50,000 personnel. Now, there was supposed to be a corresponding inflation in ranks to the extent that at least Ghana could now have a 4-star general. Honorable Broja, as we speak, though the expansion program has started, we are nowhere near achieving the targeted 50,000 personnel that was envisaged. But the former president, in his last State of the Nation address, announced the promotion of the Chief of the Defense Staff to the rank of 4-star general. Then the service chiefs, of the Navy, the Army, and the Air Force were promoted to the rank of Lieutenant General or its equivalent, thus putting the cat before the donkey. Honorable Broja, when you are approved, what would you do about this situation where the cat has been placed before the donkey?
Thank you very much, Honorable James Agalga. Your answer to the question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'm going to the ministry to assist my minister to deliver on the president's vision. Whatever it is that we have to do in order to compensate for the gap created, I'm going to assist my minister for us to achieve that. Thank you.
Any further question?
Yes. Honorable Broja, at the personal level, what type of armed forces would you want to assist your minister to, leave behind when you eventually leave the ministry? What would you want to be remembered for as the Deputy Minister for the Defense, after you have served? What legacies would you want to leave behind when giving the nod in support of your minister?
Mr. Chairman, I want to be part of the success of my minister, working towards achieving the vision of the president. I hope that we will leave behind an armed forces that is ready for combat, well equipped and tooled to face any external aggression. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I will proceed to give the floor to Kofi Amankwamenu. Honorable Kofi Amankwamenu.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Congratulations, Honorable Nominee. And let me also take this opportunity to welcome the chiefs from Ashanti region. Nananum, you are welcome. Honorable Nominee, my first question has to do with the Afari Hospital. You are going to take over from where I left off. We know the pressure on Komfo Anokye, and one of the hospitals to ease the pressure on Komfo Anokye is Afari, which is dear to the heart of many. But I believe that by way of briefing, you know the problems associated with Afari. What are you going to do differently to ensure that we get this hospital in operation as early as practicable?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the Afari Military Hospital is one project that is very dear to the heart of this government. And His Excellency the President has demonstrated that when he last visited Ashanti region, he spoke about the project. My yet-to-be boss, by the grace of God, if this committee recommends for my approval, has also visited the hospital recently. And that shows the commitment that this government have towards that project. Just yesterday, His Excellency appeared before Parliament, and in the State of the Nation address, he reiterated his desire to ensure that Afari Military Hospital is completed with speed. And so I will be at the ministry to assist my minister to complete that project. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My second question has to do with DHOC. Currently, the Ghana Armed Forces, by way of DHOC, is involved in the assembly of armored vehicles at Burma Camp, armored bullion vans for the banks. I'm pretty sure you are aware of that. There are a lot of things we are doing. When I say we, the Ghana Armed Forces is doing to take the Army's overdependence on central government. I think my colleague asked, was looking at the pros and the cons. What new thing do you bring on board to ensure that DHOC, as we have it now, is able to do that which is expected to make the Army, take the overdependence of the Army on central government?
Mr. Chairman, the Defense Industries Holding Company is something that was started by the late President Mills when he engaged with private sector to do the Kumasi Shoe Factory, and successive governments have built on it. I think that it is something that we need to continue to do, only that I believe that we have to streamline and refocus all the projects that DHOC is involved in. I will be at the ministry to assist my minister to do exactly that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman, as a follow-up, going to be the Deputy Minister for Defense, you are going to be the board chair of DHOC. I think that is part of your portfolio. One advice, you mentioned the shoe factory, one advice I will give is that you look critically at the constitution of the directorship of the shoe factory to make sure it works. I'll go to my third and final question. It has to do with housing. The NPP government embarked upon the provision of housing in all the garrisons of the Ghana Armed Forces. But we all know that housing is still a problem with the Ghana Armed Forces. Nobody is happy to see our men in uniform always trekking to Burma camp and other places to work. As Deputy Minister who is going to be in charge of Project Implementation Unit of the Ghana Armed Forces, what new thing do you bring to ensure that your government will keep providing the accommodation that is so needed for the use of our men and women in uniform?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, decent accommodation for our men in uniform is very important because we all know that it goes down to morale when our men feel that they are not given decent accommodation. It dials down the spirit. And so I think that all the projects that are at various levels of completion must be completed. And if possible, others also started. Because Mr. Chairman, yesterday, the President mentioned that there's a housing deficit of about 17,000 for the Ghana Armed Forces. And I think that we must work to address that. And I'll be available to assist my minister do exactly that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, may I take this opportunity with your kind permission to congratulate the nominee and to give the nominee just two pieces of advice. Mr. Nominee, if you are given the approval and you go to the Ministry of Defense, have it at the back of your mind that you're going to work with professionals. The soldiers are professionals. Have it at the back of your mind that you're going to work in a ministry where structures really do work. First advice, Mr. Nominee, have a very good relationship with your minister. Let your minister be your boss. Let him be your friend. Let him be your brother. It's very important. Secondly, seeing an unknown behind you as an indication that His Royal Majesty Otumfuo is here. You have a responsibility to yourself. You have a responsibility to make Otumfuo proud. You have a responsibility to work to make sure that you advance the Ghana Armed Forces. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Honorable Bawa Brahma, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The youth presidents, I congratulate you on this noble achievements. And mine is just, of late, you see soldiers being deployed in operations that are meant for the police, i.e., if you look at election security and you look at certain operations that have gone bad with the involvement of the military, if I say so, I cast my mind back to Ejura, what happened, where we lost about 3 people and got others maimed. So what will be your advice to your minister so that at least the soldiers could be restricted to their traditional duties of at least protecting the nation against external aggression?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we all know that the Ghana Police Service has the primary duty to maintain law and order within the borders of our country. However, the Ghana Armed Forces also has some responsibility towards maintaining the territorial integrity of our country. And so anything that has the likelihood to degenerate and affect the territorial integrity of our country, the military may be called in. I agree with you that the traditional duties of maintaining law and order must be left for the Ghana Police Service to handle. And the military only comes in when there's a need to restore. And so I'm going to the ministry to assist my minister, and my minister is on record before this committee that he's going to ensure that the military is only brought in when the situation is beyond the control of the Ghana Police Service. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, that will be all for me, except to wish my brother the best of luck, and also just to admonish him that at least I know he's a humble person, and that he will cope on very well with his sector minister. May Allah be with you, my brother.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you.
Amen.
It's now the turn of Honorable Haji Aladi Ayamba.
Thank you, Chairman. Congratulations, my brother.
Thank you, Haji.
I've known you all this while. You've always worked hard. And that has earned you this nomination. I hope, just as one of my colleagues has said, you are going to put that effort when you get there so that we will achieve our aim. And when I say our aim, is not only now, 100 years to come. And we would continue to be there. It will all depend on your hard work. However, those you are going to deal with are professionals, and professionals for that matter in uniform. A uniform that wherever they appear, no matter what good deed they are coming with, people already have the perception that, what are these people looking for? Always the negative thing is portrayed about them. And sometimes it's not helpful. What will you do to assist your minister so that you can bring that civil and those uniformed people a good relationship and rapport, so that at the end of the day we will see them as persons who are there to support us and not people who are always there to maybe manhandle us or something of that sort? What will you do?
Mr. Chairman, the Ministry of Defense has both members of the Ghana Armed Forces and civilians working together. And so going to the ministry, I have it at the back of my mind that working with officers, senior officers, and other rank, all involved in the activities of the ministry, we need to have mutual respect. And Mr. Chairman, by way of information, I come from a home of a soldier. My grandfather was a soldier during the Gold Coast. He was a member of the 7th Battalion, the West African Frontiers. He fought in the Second World War. He was a sergeant. And so he instilled that kind of discipline in the family, and all of us benefited from it. So I have that at the back of my mind, and I also take a cue from your advice. Thank you.
My second question. Sometimes past, it has come out that soldiers go out and then sometimes they go out of their way brutalizing, causing fear and panic. Sometimes you hear some of these things and they are not palatable. For me, I'm always hurt because sincerely, where I found myself is not where I wanted to be. I wanted to be a soldier, but my parents refused me. And I'm still not happy that I haven't been one. So when I hear people saying all kinds of things against them, I'm not happy. But some of them too go out of their way. What will you do to ensure that at least wherever they get to, they should try to calm down and listen or find out before they take action? Because it's not the use of the rod always that would make things good. What will you do to enable that happen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I already answered a question that relates to what Honorable Hajia has raised. But I also believe that we can deepen the civilian-military relationship, but by increasing the activities that brings civilians and our men in uniform for a good cause. We are able to, as civilians, we're able to access military hospitals. I have friends whose parents or have no relation in the military, but attended military schools, armed forces schools, and all that. So we need to do a bit more. And I even think that DIHOC is also another way of engaging that partnership between the private persons and the military. So I'll be available to assist my minister to do that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, last but not the least, when you go to the army and you take the numbers in general, the number of women are very few. I know normally they will say, oh, they haven't shown interest. They are not there. They are this, they are that. No. This time, we have an act, we have the law. The law says that you people should support. Because you are deputy, that's what I'm saying you should support. If it were the minister, I would have told him. You people should support so that at least the 30% we get it. I am in no way saying that you should throw away, because the military is a place.
Coming up tonight, Ghana's trade surplus hits 44.7 billion cedis as gold solidifies position as country's top export earner. This is Biz Brief here on TV3. I am Michael Obodu. Before we bring you the big one, let's bring you updates from the currency and commodities market and take you around the world in 60 seconds. Now to the big one. Ghana's trade surplus surged to 44.7 billion cedis in 2024, driven primarily by favorable export prices rather than increased production volumes, according to the latest report from the Ghana Statistical Service. Gold solidified its position as the country's top export earner, highlighting Ghana's reliance on commodity exports. However, this dependence also exposes the country's exports to significant risk from price fluctuations on the global market.
Total trade records a steady increase in the last 4 years, which has been underscored strongly. Price increases in export commodities is what has driven our trade surplus. So our trade surplus is more of export price increases rather than value. This is reflected both in the quarter-on-quarter statistics and the year-on-year statistics. From a nominal perspective, both on a quarter-on-quarter basis and on a year-on-year basis, we have recorded trade surplus. The reverse is the case from a real measurement perspective, where in the last 4 quarters, we've consistently seen deficit and we've reversed the surpluses that we got in 2022 and 2023 to a deficit in 2024. Export commodities and destinations continue to be very limited, very narrow focused, and we see a lot more diversification from an export point of view. And lastly, gold consolidates its position as the main export earner.
The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, GPHA, has emphasized the need to review its operating law to align with modern industry trends. According to Acting Director General Brigadier General Paul Seydou Tanya Kulonu, parts of the nearly 40-year-old law have become obsolete and must be updated to ensure the authority remains relevant and effective.
Another issue has to do with the operating law of Ghana Ports and Harbour Authority. That's PNDC Law 160/1986. Due to the new development in the ports and maritime industry, so portions of the law have outlived its usefulness, and other portions too conflicts with that of Maritime Authority and the Shippers Authority. So we try to harmonize it by presenting a new bill, which is in your office. But with your kind permission, I would like to withdraw that bill so that we'll take a second look at it and then we'll resubmit it as early as possible.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Transport has assured of government's commitment to ensuring a boost in the country's ports while pledging his support for the newly appointed Director General.
Aware of the President's commitment in resetting this country, and it begins with us at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, because we are the key to unlocking the economic difficulties that we are faced with. And it is not for any reason that God and the state have brought all of us to work here at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. I am aware of the intentions, the plans the new Director General has. And I want to say that he has my full support and that of the President. We took office the same day with a charge from the President that wherever we find ourselves, including all of us seated here, we brighten that corner so that Ghana will once again be put on the map of excellence.
Now, food vendors in Cape Coast are cashing in on the excitement of the ongoing Super Zonals athletics competition at the Cape Coast Sports Stadium, capitalizing on the influx of athletes, officials and spectators to boost their sales. 3 Sports Bill Eshean earlier engaged some vendors.
So an event like this usually brings some of the best young athletes in the country who have potential of making it to the very top when it comes to athletics. But on the side, there are some people who also come here to try and make a living from their sales, from the popular Kosiani Meko to that of drinks, to that of ice water, pure water. All of them gather around here to make sales, to try and get some money for themselves and for their families. And so we are going to talk to some of these people to find out how much exactly they probably make from their sales. among the many sellers that have gathered here to sell their stuff to the students here in Cape Coast, there's a wachi seller here. I mean, wachi is a local delicacy. A lot of people eat it in the mornings, afternoons, and evenings as well. You can see her selling her wachi to some of the students. Mommy, pocho today, what for then?
Oh, from me, Neisa.
Neisa, pocho wachi. Debian de stadium ha na de. Where first time ever?
Give me biazi, eshishama, muasi.
Sarah say etonade from outside na etonade wa hanum stadium ha. Make you sales pa.
Unkofu pepper, the whole.
That's it. Medasi bebre. There's another woman here who is actually selling drinks and biscuits. And there's also another one who sells egg, what we popularly call kosiani meku. Mommy, pocho for then. How? We pocho stadium have better to nyoma na de way of first time ever.
Oh, mataba.
Kosiani meku no abonti na eton was stadium a. Compare enya sales power stadium ni mana.
No.
Also, we have here a woman who sells a number of drinks and biscuits, and also some sweets over here. Mommy in Portugal for then. Adiza. Why against Wahane Baha? I say to Ade and Comfort pa.
Pachenyo. What a patch in the paddle.
Jama.
Pachenyo. So what water, you know, should also what water as that. Mutun has be 10 million and 15 million.
Really surprising. She just stated that she makes around 1,000 to 1,005 Ghana cedis from selling here in a day with regards to her drinks, her sweets, her biscuits. And so these are the kind of opportunities that salespeople have when they have events like these in stadiums.
So what was published by Graphic Online, which you have with you, is false?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. It's false.
Did you rebut it? Did you write a rejoinder?
Mr. Chairman, I did. In fact, this is the first time I'm seeing this story, but it was reported in the news that I had been disqualified, and I responded to it, I refuted it, I supported it with pictures when I submitted my nomination, and I went into the contest and won that primaries.
Okay. So, since you rebutted it in a statement or interview, I think I would leave it there. But just to bring clarity, did you put out a statement to rebut this false publication, or did you grant an interview to rebut this publication?
Mr. Chairman, I granted interviews to rebut the publication. Thank you.
Then in November 2024, you are quoted to have alleged that the MPP was training Delta Force militants at the Bondasi military camp, which was a facility we had with the support from the US government. Upon raising these concerns, you also wrote an open letter to the United States Embassy, suggesting that such activities could undermine the upcoming elections. First, did you write to the US Embassy on this matter?
No, Mr. Chairman, it was a Facebook post. It was like an open...
So that's what, yes, I've referred to it as an open letter. So you did?
Yes.
Okay.
If it's in reference to that post, yes. Oh. But I didn't write any formally.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The emphasis here is an open letter. So it was on your Facebook wall.
Yes, correct, Mr. Chairman.
Now, the allegation itself, you had a basis for it, that indeed it was a military, the MPP Delta Force militant were being trained at Bondase military camp. Did you have a basis? Was there some evidence of that training, or it was a political statement? Because I can understand that it was in November, and in November we're all in the heat of the elections. Could it have been a political statement as part of strategy to knock off your opponent, or it was based on some verifiable facts, evidence of actual training and all?
Mr. Chairman, it was based on some information that had come to the attention of the directorate which I work with.
Now you are going into a very sensitive area. You see how posterity deals with us as political actors. Now you are going to be there wearing that shoe, that sensitive shoe. Tell us, did you verify that information prior to you putting it out?
Mr. Chairman, as you rightly stated, it was in the heat of the campaign. And so once that disturbing information was received, I thought that I should make it public in order that if there was anything like that, it could be stopped. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Having come to terms with the fact that indeed you did not validate the information, neither did you verify same, what have you to say to the people of Ghana in respect of that discretion you exercise?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we all operate in this space, and we are all humans. We may get it wrong sometimes. And so, even though I have not, I did not pursue the matter again or have any rebuttals, once I did not have physical evidence of NPP Delta Force vigilantes training at the Bondase, I think that going forward, we need to cross-check and recheck information before we put it out. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Very well. Again, you remember that somewhere in October there was this issue of vacant seats in Parliament. You remember that issue?
Mr. Chairman, October last year.
That is so.
Yes, yes, I remember.
And you recall the Speaker's opinion became a subject matter of a Supreme Court suit by my very self. You remember?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that you were the applicant in that case.
I was a plaintiff applicant.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
A plaintiff applicant. I mean, just for purpose of education, I invoked the original jurisdiction of the court and then made an application for some interim reliefs on the back of the main issue. Now, did you comment publicly on the outcome of the case?
Mr. Chairman, it's possible because I'm an activist, so I...
Honorable nominee, thus far, you have been straight on the issues, and this approach will help this engagement. You are now entering a sensitive area, and I will not begrudge you. It's not a matter of it is possible. I'm asking you that did you write on this matter after the Supreme Court ruled? Let's be very fair.
Mr. Chairman, I think so.
Right. Now, you are a law student, you are studying for your LLB, and you know that the judiciary has its independence. Of course, you can question the independence of the judiciary based on evidence. Do you think that it was appropriate for you to have written that because you believe that part of the CJ is from Winneba, and the fact that I am the MP for Winneba, you were therefore questioning the justice delivery in the matter? Do you think that it was very fair and appropriate, those comments that came from you in a Facebook post?
Mr. Chairman, I remember that Facebook post, and I think that I was trying to generate discussion and have people talk about it. In the post, I hardly made conclusions. I was trying to put facts and leave it for the general public to discuss it. I don't think that I impugned any ill motive at yourself or the Chief Justice. And as you rightly said, as somebody who is crawling at the law, hardly will I engage in that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I would want you to freshen your memory of the exact words you used in the post. I want Chairman to review your post before we bring it to you, and it normally will require his leave, so I want to follow that due process. All right, thank you. Yes, please, can you read aloud the very post you made, the content, please?
Mr. Chairman, this is a post I made on the 20th of October 2024. I posted, "Is this true?" with 3 question marks. And I said, "Facts, not emotions." No, the JSC who sat on Friday to injunct an action that had already taken effect. These justices were all appointed to the Supreme Court by one person, outgoing President Akufo-Addo. 1. Gertrude Saki Tokono, JSC 2019. Mariama Owusu, JSC 2019. Ernest Geu, JSC 2022. Yao Asaridakun, JSC 2023. Kwame Adibu Esiedu, JSC 2022. Another fact of notice is that the case was filed on Friday, called on same Friday, moved on same Friday, and detailed ruling given same Friday. Also note that the plaintiff is a minority leader and MP for Efutu, Winneba in brackets. If you care, confirm for yourself that the presiding justice hailed from Winneba. You may form your own opinion to determine whether or not what happened is politics or law.
Before I delve into the specifics of this your post made on the 20th of October, I want to know from you, now that you are coming into public office, how would you react to a post like this by any citizen of Ghana?
Mr. Chairman, I think that generally citizens have the right to air their views, and as far as it is not injurious to me, I will take it in good strides. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So let's deal with the paragraph that comes after the name Kwame Adibo Asiedu JSC 2022. In other words, that paragraph that starts with another fact. Now, at the time you were doing this post, did you know the nature of the particular application you were referring to which was filed? Did you know? You were a law student. Did you know the application that had been filed?
Mr. Chairman, if my memory serves me right, I think that it was an application to set aside a ruling by the Speaker of Parliament. I think so.
So, yes, rightly so. But what I'm saying is that the very nature of the application, had you cited it?
No, Mr. Chairman.
So, on the basis of not knowing the nature of the application, don't you think that describing the application as having been filed Friday, called same day, moved same day with a detailed ruling was basically born out of ignorance and also to mislead the public? Because you had not cited the application. You don't know what was filed, yet you put it out there questioning the conduct of the justices of the Supreme Court.
Mr. Chairman, I put it as another fact. If it so happens that that fact was wrong and that it was not an application filed and dealt with on the same day, then I think I got it wrong. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, but let's situate it properly. And just for the purposes of education, I don't know the level of legal education thus far, because you say you are not done. But you know that in court, when you are filing a process to invoke the jurisdiction of the court, you can either go on notice or another way. You know that?
Yes, or ex parte.
Ex parte, correct. I wanted it to come from you. Now, you know how an ex parte application is dealt with, correct? At least.
The basics I know.
What is it? If you know, share. If you don't know, it's fine. I'll provide you that information. If you know, you can share. Whatever you know about it, you can share.
Mr. Chairman, it's where a party goes before the court.
Right.
Without the notice of the supposed party to the case.
Correct. So when you go, it means that you are invoking some agency, correct?
Yes.
Good. Therefore, there is nothing wrong with a court, for a court to hear you same day and determine the matter if you are going ex parte, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I agree with that.
Right. And at the time you posted this, you did not know whether the application was on notice or ex parte, correct?
Yes.
So I'm letting you know that this application was an ex parte application. And with what you've explained thus far, what do you say to this very paragraph of your post?
Mr. Chairman, if I'm allowed to seek leave and amend that paragraph.
Oh, this is a post you have on social media. So I'm just giving you the opportunity because now you are in public life. All right, the shoe has changed. So I just want you, in all fairness, what have you to say to this?
Mr. Chairman, if I knew that there was an ex parte application, probably that paragraph would have been put in another manner, not to create the impression of what the current paragraph seeks to create. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I appreciate that. Your next point, also note that, read it, your next paragraph, read it.
The last but one paragraph, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please.
Okay. Also note that the plaintiff is the minority leader and the MP for Efutu.
Okay, so stop there. As at the time you were writing this, was the plaintiff a minority leader? You had put at the top the facts, not emotions.
That was contentious.
The chairman is a
because there had been a rule. No, it's not a there was a ruling by the Court of Justice. The highest court of the land had made a determination. You are a law student. You want to join the noble profession. You want to be called to the bar and become a practitioner in our court and to defend human rights and the Constitution. I'm asking you, at the time you wrote this, was Afenyo Markin the minority leader? Or it was a political statement?
Mr. Chairman, there was a political twist to it. Thank you, Mr.
Chairman. We also refer to you as minority leader. That's how we occupy majority seats.
So
to the
now, it is one thing saying that I would describe the majority leader, Afenyo Markin, as a minority leader. And another thing, writing the minority leader, Afenyo Markin, and having a caption fact. So, having come to the conclusion that you were doing a political twist, what have you to say to this paragraph?
Mr. Chairman, I want to take back the use of a minority leader. I think that it was unfair to the Honorable MP for Efutu, who the court had ruled, setting aside the decision of the Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Very well. We are done with that. Chair, please. Once we are going through this exercise gently, I mean, there is no contention. We can't drag matters. I mean, the jury is out there and it's... Ernest, I'm not exacting a pound of flesh, just for you to know that I believe that the quality of mercy is not strained and it always drops as a gentle rain from heaven upon the earth beneath. So don't worry. Is that okay? We are in this together, all right?
I'm fine.
Very well. So what you are reading now, what is before you now, was also one of your posts you did in 2019, August 22nd, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Please read the post aloud.
Mr. Chairman, this is a post I made on 22nd August 2019. Ghanaians will remember President Akufo-Addo for three things. One, stealing and corruption.
Okay, stay there. We'll take step by step. Step by step. Broja.
Leader.
At the time you made this post, had you any evidence of President Akufo-Addo involving any stealing? Because if you had said the Akufo-Addo government, that honorable member who has just joined Parliament, the greatest respect to you.
Honorable Minority Leader, just ignore and address the chair.
Chairman, please. You and I are supposed to ensure order. Please. You're not a member of the committee. You're not a friend of the committee. Good conduct helps you to grow in politics. This thing is a learning process, so be here to learn. The posts, if you had said the Akufo-Addo government, I'm a politician, you're a politician, you can make a general statement against a government, which is your bona fide, no problem. But I can say that there is corruption in the Mahama administration, a political statement. But if I go and say President Mahama has stolen, that's a different matter, and it is going directly at him. Or if I say Broja Jemfi will be remembered for stealing, that's a different matter. So I want to know from you that this very post, Akufo-Addo remembered for three things. One, stealing and corruption. Had you any evidence of any stealing by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the then president of Ghana, at the time you made this post?
Mr. Chairman, the post was actually in reference to the government of President Akufo-Addo. But I think that the government did not show up.
Broja, I have the character reference from three important people. I have it here as part of the due diligence we did. They describe you as a very meticulous and diligent person. I have it here. I was going to read that to you as part of your virtues to encourage you in your ministry. Encourage you in your work as a deputy minister. You are very diligent and you are also meticulous. This post has been on your wall since 2019. We are in 2025, February 28. 28 February. You don't think that you can do better than what you've just said? You don't think you can do better than that? Thus far, you've done fairly well. Don't think that you can do better than this. You are now coming into public service. The man you described with these words turns 81 very soon. All right? He's human as you are. What have you to say to him? I know you can do better than this.
Mr. Chairman, we are all learning and growing in politics. I think that there is more room for improvement. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Now, when you say Ernest, when you say there is more room for improvement? Are you making a general statement of more room for it? There is a specific matter related to you, and I need you to respond if you at all want to make amends. But don't make a sweeping statement, Mr. Chairman, we are learning, there's more room for improvement. For the time being, you are the one on oath, and there's a specific matter related to your post against the former president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. I said, what do you say to that? And I know you can do better than this.
Mr. Chairman, what I mean is that the intent at the time was to refer to the government. And so once that was omitted and you drawing my attention to it, it tells me that we are growing and we can do better. I was not...
Therefore, it tells you that we are growing and we can do better. Therefore,
Mr. Chairman, therefore, given the opportunity, I would not put it as I did.
In other words, with the benefits of hindsight, is that what you want to say?
Of course, Mr.
Okay, sure. So, on point 2 and 3, point 2 and 3, I take those as very political statement. I don't take it against you. You talk about family and friends, cronies, government. It's a political statement. 3, profligacy in government, political statement. I do not take it against you. However, don't you think that this statement, these 2 points you made, were just too much alleged? Because in government today, you realize that there are families, relations, who by virtue of their role are getting appointment, correct?
Mr. Chairman, with the first part or the second part?
I'm dealing with the two together. Okay, so let's deal with the first one. I agree, you are right. Let's leave the third one, the last one.